Well, good morning as we're sitting here at LTV on this beautiful morning, November 8th, year 2000. Is it 8? Yes, it's 8. November 8th, year 2024. Friday morning here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show. This has been on the air since 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and then, of course, the likes of you out there that make it your business to enhance and fortify this concept, rightfully so. Again, wanted to introduce my guest. I can't believe that you're here with us. It has been not even a week, and that's what I call a treat. We don't know yet, but I think it's going to be
potential treat. Yeah, a potential treat. Good enough. Fair enough. All right, I'll walk into that.
Meaningfulness comes to life when interaction is just about to take place with you. So that's something that I look forward to, but always with this degree of certainty that I know that it's going to result in something meaningful, maybe even a little provocative to make how people think.
If nothing else, authentic.
Authentic, yes, and will cause people to think further after we're done with our discussion, so to speak. So first of all, Curtis DeForest is here with us, and we go way back, and again, seeing you is just refreshing. So what is it that I was trying to communicate with you just a second before we got on the air?
Oh, I love this topic of people interacting, which necessitates understanding, and yet walking away having not understood each other. That, to me, that's a phenomenon.
Not as much as one would expect.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I can come into a conversation. Of course, we know this. This is just the truth. I can come into a conversation distracted by whatever else is going on in my life. And when I meet a person, if I truly want to relate, of course, I got to push all that stuff back and not think of it in that moment and relate to the person. And to the degree that I'm able to do that, I will be able to hear them a little bit better. But I also still have my own agendas, my own viewpoints, my own ways of looking at things that if they even start to talk about that, they may throw me into that realm, and I may believe that we're both in the same place talking about the same thing. And I know I'm not the only monkey that's ever found themselves completely misunderstanding someone. I know that, like a day later coming and saying, hey, remember we said yada, yada? Did you do the yada, yada? No, I didn't do that. I was going to do the other thing. I said, what are you talking about? Well, that's what we were talking about. And I'm like, what? We've all had that. And it's a function of, yes, sure, we know we should listen and truly hear, but we are still kind of bound a little bit by our own beliefs, our own disbeliefs, our own, moment to moment things that are on our mind. We are still, no matter how far we try to get away from them, still a little bit held back by them.
Yeah, but here, as you speak about this particular subject matter, I'm actually going through it. I'm living it with anticipation. This anticipation is not something that we can control, but we're still dealing with the early stages of what it means, meaning the fact that it's there to begin with. Yeah.
You mean like already in my mind, I have
Yes,
an idea
correct.
already.
So it's not like
so I'm going to not hear anything.
I have to deal with it because it's already in motion. Then I will prepare myself for next time, maybe to avoid that and conserve energy, which is something we should all strive to do. But the thing is that if you want to become spiritual, then you add that layer of listen. The person is trying to tell you whatever he's trying to tell you. Not necessarily he or she are aware fully of what their message is, but still, nevertheless, they struggle to make a point so you can really understand as close as possible to what they mean. And maybe by doing so, you help them understand more about what they're trying to explain to you about themselves.
Right.
That's the magic of it. That's why you can use these things in the future as a weapon of deterrence, meaning that you, like my daughter, I had to take her to the dentist. She had to pull a tooth. It's a nightmare scenario for any parent, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old. So I had to lie to her. I had to in order to
Mm,
do good for her.
mm.
So I said, let's say, I'm going to Costco, and she's excited to go to Costco. You know how it is. You want to join me? She said yes. She said yes. On the way to Costco, of course, I stopped in
Oh, by the
Southampton,
way.
and she said, "Papa, what are we doing here?" I said, "No, I just got a message from your dentist
Oh, great.
that she said she wants to look at that tooth of yours."
Great.
She and so
Is
and
she
we
in pain? She should have welcomed
well,
it a little, right?
yeah, but still, it doesn't
Still.
between
Yeah,
that
yeah,
and materializing it, that's
yeah,
a world away. And when she realized that I'm lying to her, we were already there, and she said,
yeah.
"You're a
You
liar. I
dirty
can't
SOB.
believe you lied to me." I said, "I'm not really, but well, we're already here. Let's get it over with."
Yeah, let's take care of it.
And and then I had to whatever. I had to do my routine. I said, stand, sit there, hold, whatever.
Yeah. Hmm.
So what is it that we're trying to do exactly for the better of your demeanor and for the better of your mood? First, we'll listen to you. Second, we'll try and do our best to really get down to the bare knuckles of what you're trying to communicate. And then, while you're doing that, you're guaranteed to answer a different question that usually otherwise you would. You are adapting to what you're learning live when you listen well. So therefore, you don't worry about the answer because it will come ready to you as a result, as a trophy for your extending your desire to listen and to get you know what I mean.
Well, I can accept a willingness to participate effectively in communication. I can appreciate that, and I really can believe that everybody listening and not people that aren't listening have that. Okay, um, what's a real issue though? Okay, is the imprecision of language. Think about it. I have a feeling I want to relate to you. The words don't always exist to represent everything that's in the human heart, in the human mind. They don't exist. And there is so much causing us to turn inward and maybe be fearful and as a result be defensive, okay? There are so much more things to do that. So many more reasons to do that than there are to anticipate the possibility of good communication and a positive message that was communicated. If you go around expecting that, you get bashed down every time.
I know,
Every
but if
time.
but if you're going through that and consider it as something positive because it's short-lived, meaning it's coming to you. But at the end of the day, you don't make a big deal out of it. You know that there's many others are coming, and why would you want to let one incident derail you,
Right.
and then you're good for nothing for
Well,
the
it
rest of
depends
the
on your
day?
past
But
experience.
that means it's okay that it comes your way. Just don't let it linger for
Right,
too
right.
long.
But you're talking about behavior here.
Yeah,
The
and
potential
also,
learned
yeah,
behavior that people have
yeah,
to reverse.
yes. But the thing is, prevent 80, 90% of it. You could, and then you see how much room you have to do other things
Yeah,
to
yeah.
to come across and maybe find someone compatible with your understanding
Well, you
that
know
it
what?
is important to get to know better what is the nature of your question
You are reminding me
or
again
remark.
of what you quoted from the Kabbalah before. Remember
Yeah,
that? Can you say that again, what you
yeah,
said?
yeah. So
The Kabbalah says,
it says that you always um, in the ready to answer, to reply, to respond, which is it's not a bad thing. It's just that
yeah.
when someone is trying to get his point or whatever it is
And
across.
I already have a response. I don't hear you.
Yes, but also don't forget that someone struggles. Even if he might sound like he knows, like no, there's no problem there, but he might struggle there because he's doing his best. Maybe
Right.
he's thinking, I just got one shot with this person. I need to make it clear what it is that I. But even if you don't make it dramatic, he's just trying to communicate with you something that happened in the grocery store. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter, or something meaningful, philosophical, religious. In the same token,
Listen,
it's this
yeah.
it's the same process that he would have to go through. to
Everything
make
you
his
keep
point.
talking about reflects
Yeah,
back to when we
but
don't
now,
behave, it's because of fear.
yes,
That's everything you're
yeah,
saying
but
reminds me of that. That we have
one
fear.
thing we need to remember that we are not. Uh, he is not responsible for our deficiency.
Right. The other person we're talking to.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
they are
that means
not.
that he's talking to us, but he's not responsible, and therefore he cannot do much about improving your chances to listen better.
Right. Right.
I mean, he can
You
tell
got to
you,
do that on your own.
yeah,
Yeah.
even and if he's going to tell you anything about it, he's going to actually even make it worse, because then you will take it in a way like someone is thinking something
And
is
that's
wrong
another
with
thing to
you.
distract you from
Oh yeah,
listening.
oh yeah, it's just taking you
It
further and
it,
further
it could be
away.
a tumble down. Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
no, can
Yeah.
be, it is.
See, this is the thing. You know
And
what's
by the way,
important?
the way back from it is not pleasant.
No,
And but now
you have to
take,
apologize for some
take
things you
one
said. Maybe.
let's say only one incident will have as such will happen to you throughout your life. Only one. It's enough for you to develop a complete disproportional phenomena of mental and emotional imbalance just because of one of the things that happened to you. So that means even if only once in your life it will happen to you, it's already something that you cannot shake off. It will remain there in one capacity or another. That's an exaggeration, but it's a probability. Because we don't know, we must consider that indeed that's because it will compensate for the lack of many others that came and makes the others insignificant. So there's always a trauma or encounter that will push one away, so a fresh one comes in. So this goes to the background, but none of it is disappearing. It's all accumulating in the background. So that's even going to work
Against you for listening
for this
again.
again
Yeah,
further
yeah,
away, and you
yeah.
further. Now, at some point, you're getting so away from target or from where you're supposed to be that there's no attempt even in place to retrieve or to recover. Or it's no, you just realize it's almost like you're smoking, you're addicted to tobacco, you really know it's bad for you. You don't even try to quit because it just sucks too much. So you don't know which one is
He
which.
said from experience.
Quitting and it will be devastated in ways that you still don't know, or smoking, hoping that you live another 10 years
Hope.
and you're already 70, so it doesn't look so bad. But the thing is, the Kabbalah is going back when it says that it includes also the fact that eh, taking the extra step, going the extra depth,
To
the
listen, but also
extra
to
height,
communicate.
the extra width,
Yeah, yeah.
all this,
Necessary.
yeah, not only necessary. There resides what's
So
good for you.
now, here, let me tell you something very interesting that you may or may not know, but in the Bible, in the Christian Bible, is the reference to the fact that we have 2 ears, one mouth,
Say that again. 2 years. Yeah.
one mouth, which really represents the way in which we should communicate. Twice as much listening as talking. Do I do it? No. Is that a goal? I would love it to be a goal. I'm a little bit chatty, I've been told, but I would love to be able to listen twice as much as I speak. And I know a few people that are a little unsettling because they're like that, but for the most part, you can still be communicating even if you're not talking. You could be representing a person that listens. You could be representing a person that, as they're speaking, that agrees with what they're saying. And until you actually have to talk. Yeah.
Look, you said an example. Let me give you an example. How many times did you hear someone say, "Don't talk over me"?
How
You know
about
how much damage this remark
as a married man? No.
inflicts? You know how much complications it creates,
Yeah.
and how much damage it inflicts
Oh, yeah.
in disproportionate
To
way.
both of them.
You will never realize to what extent, but really, why?
Yeah.
Because it's just bringing into the equation other human qualities, or otherwise, that you look at the person and you say, "My God, I can't believe that this person, out of the blue, showed me something that I've never seen with this person that I know." But then you realize instantly, almost like, I don't think I know him, because it's not by chance. In order to react so fully with something new, the other person says it must have a home within him.
Already, there's something.
It's
Yeah.
not like a hut or a
Right.
tent.
Right.
He's got a home for that. So why am I not knowing about it? So is it him? Is it me? And then it's really irrelevant to get an answer for this question. You just know now there's an issue, but there's an awareness. That means, so the Kabbalah says, we don't think you're going to resolve this. This is bigger than you. But you create awareness, and awareness will always work to your benefit. In this capacity, that capacity, so you're better off with that, even though it just adds a little bit. But that little bit most probably guaranteed to change your life, that otherwise you wouldn't know about his existence or about even this probability or possibility. But in the same token, it adds something more actively mechanical, technical. It gives you a way to go about conditioning yourself to be able to literally listen further and deeper and longer without necessarily doing something special about it. So it gives you that thing. It always tells you to shy away from dwelling. It always highly recommends not to believe your senses. And all of these, all of the above. You have to assume, first of all, that all these senses that we rely on, depend on, aware of, they're not telling us the truth. But not because they don't have the truth to tell you, it's because um, we believe them unconditionally.
The definitions we were given
So,
originally are what we believe.
but now when we step back in order to correct that, we're announcing.
Okay.
And that announcement is not working to our benefit because it becomes a big deal. The transition is not silent as it should be, and softer. And what? It's like a noisy occurrence.
Mm.
So the Kabbalah will show you a way to do it seamless, kind of thing. But in the same token, not guaranteeing you any kind of results that you'll have to write home about. Won't be anything significant. But if you believe the way you're supposed to believe, you will always know that if you wouldn't behave this way or do this way, it's going to be worse.
Okay. Say it again.
Even if it's let's just say you put 5 cents a day
Okay.
aside.
Okay.
So it will sound and feel ridiculous that you're doing it because it doesn't matter how many tens of thousands of days you'll do it, it will amount to become a ridiculous sum.
Yeah. Not a lot of money.
Yeah. But the Kabbalah will tell you, but listen, you have some severe problems that all you need is these savings of 5 cents a day.
Right.
That's all you need.
Right.
And it will cure and help you prevent also major things.
Yeah.
Personality wise, character wise, a million ways.
Yeah.
Socially wise.
Yeah.
So, but you have to believe. And when you believe, you don't have to believe anymore because you're believing and it's silent.
And you're doing.
Yes. And it's
Now
silent.
you're doing. Now it's a habit. Yeah.
It's silent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even the system itself knows, here's Curtis. He means business. What does that mean? You tell me.
That
When something says about you, he means business. That means what? You tell me.
Serious about the task.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Ready to do what needs to be done next.
Yes.
And
he will put you to work. He will allow you to put him to work. Whatever it takes.
What moves forward. I want moving forward, and I want for myself, and I really let people know this, is to become a much better listener in these next 4 years, because I have some really good friends that I didn't really fully agree with in everything they did, and I'm being clear because this is not a political show, but I do believe it's a social show, and that after everything that's occurred, we need to take the message. The message said you guys are divided in half, the country. That means we need to do this more. That needs what's needed now. What really is needed now is for me actually to freaking listen better than I've ever listened before.
But you see, I could have introduced you as here comes Curtis, and he's got a lot of money, and he's really well-to-do and wealthy, and and maybe he'll buy me lunch, or maybe he will say, "Oh, by the way, you see this Tesla there? It's yours." Whatever. Uh, and then people will pay attention. Oh, oh, it must be a multi-millionaire. This
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
We're gonna listen to this guy.
We
You know what I mean?
wish.
No, I said, here comes someone. I didn't say poor, rich, strong, or weak. I just say he means business. What does it mean? We have a recollection,
Yeah, yeah.
solid recollection about him. Like, for example, I told my daughter one day, she's 15, and I said, by age 18, you can be a veteran artist, not an artist, a veteran artist. And she really wanted to hear about it. And I said, it's about you doing something very adamant, just making paintings, small and big, meaningful and otherwise, whatever it is, and you looking to achieve a certain amount of it, and then you decide to display it. And then you send little cards to just 50 people that you know, and they all come to the show, and it's kind of really potentially pathetic almost. That's what society is telling you, of course. That's the point I'm trying to. It's telling you, what do you think you're doing? It's telling you, this happens to be ridiculous. It's telling you, why are you wasting your time? And it's telling you, you're up to no good. And it's telling you, you're getting nowhere. But nobody will find himself with a group of people I'm telling you, nobody will come to your show and be himself, the himself that you're aware of. Because there's a buffer zone, it's your art. So suddenly you're not approachable, meaning that in order to hurt you, if they were want to hurt you or annoy you or be disrespectful, they would have to penetrate through your paintings to get to you.
Mm, mm,
Do you understand the image that I'm building in your head? So now let's just say nobody knows that you're an artist, Curtis, per se painter, and you're just doing your thing at home with little things, and you're deciding that actually this amount that you created deserves a space to be shown. And you're doing something about it. It doesn't matter where, how, what. You're sending little invites to people. Let's say I was to get it, and I would say, "What the heck? What am I reading here? What is he doing? What is he up to? Where is he coming from?" Now I know that you're intelligent, sensitive, and everything, so I would not expect you to make a fool of yourself, and I will definitely attend. So I said, you do that once, twice, three times. People will bump into you or see you from afar. They will say one thing. They will think is, I'm not messing with this person. I'm not bullying this person. Anything that I will try and do to this person after my encounters of his or her going about their artistic way and having those little showings and all this demands respect.
yeah, yeah.
Unless I want to knowingly make a fool of myself. Now, this in our day and age is the best advice you can give your kids that they
I
can.
agree. I agree. And you know, the interesting thing is that when you say, "Yep, this is me," boom, whatever it is, this is me. I'm a painter. This is me. I'm a sculptor. This is me. I work for the highway department of East Hampton Township. This is me. I play volleyball. This is me. These are the essences of who I am. And once you put it out there, no one should ever judge, because you know what? You identified yourself. You took the risk to say, this is who I am. This is what I do. And when you do that, you're giving other people the ability to do that, the license to do that, the freedom to do that. And if we could do that for each other, and like you're saying, there's respect that you deserve when you have put yourself out there and said what it is that you mean and what you care about and what's important to you. Absolutely, you deserve
Also, the
respect.
past, when you talk about Picasso and de Kooning and the likes, there were just a group of 2 dozen artists. They were doing, they had no competition at all. No competition at all. It wasn't like the day and age of computers and whatnot,
Right, right.
or you can just go and purchase your paint like five for $10, and
They were
eh,
organic as a result of that.
yeah, but they were also they benefited from the fact that there was no competition.
Yeah.
If they were to be alive today, they would be surrounded by millions of artists,
Mm,
millions,
mm.
and in every community, hundreds of them. It's a given. It's just a given. So what happens is they will have to share with the regard and attention and that people are giving them because there were so few, and there was also nothing to compare it to. When they came up with the abstract expressionism, people knew what expressionism is. They knew what abstract is, but they couldn't figure out what does that have to do with art and how is it making it different because they're painting paintings. But they're forcing you to accept it as a fact because they're second to none. There's nothing else exists. So it's not like their work was so incredible. But there's no one to be suggesting to Picasso that there are at least 512 artists in the immediate vicinity of his or his state that are doing quite like him and maybe even sometimes a little more interesting. So what I'm trying to say, it can teach us and tell us a lot about why some other people are their work in point of reference is much more meaningful than ours, is because we live in a time where there are indeed many worthy uh, artists that also that they prove to you by living as their life is what they claim their art to be. It's unbelievable. So there's a level of camaraderie in that sense. So you accept it with love, you accept it and then increase your tolerance due to that and whatnot. But in the same token, we need that guideline for these from these like a century ago type of individuals, small groups. But we also need to be careful not to let them too in into our lives and to take assume a position that they don't own or deserve.
You got to keep the artists in
Yeah, it's
control.
ours. It's no. They need to know also that it's ours, and just because they're great, they're not going to get more than a fraction of our attention, which is okay because with this fraction, we're telling them a whole story of how we feel towards what they have to offer to us. So I remember seeing, I think it was Motherwell in one of the videos that I saw, an incredible painter. I know all his paintings, the images that are available. You can just press a button and get it. But now I see him in a video on a 6 foot ladder doing his 9, 10 foot tall by 20 feet long, this black blobs, whatever. And I remember that it was a very exceptional video. I couldn't believe that
What was the name? What was the?
Motherwell, the artist. So the camera was near, and it was like a 16 millimeter. Uh, so you heard the sound was good, and he's with the brush, and he's in front of like it's a huge canvas, and he's doing black bulges, whatever shape, whatever it was, but it was black. Mostly, he's turning this thing to be almost mostly black. But then the camera goes in, and you see with his brush, he's repeating and over repeating black that will not be blacker because he's doing it. And it has hardly even presented texture because he wasn't really dipping and putting more paint in order to create. He was just doing black on the surface and again black, and then he started doing black on black and black on black and black. But so I was trying to look at his face expression and see how genuine he is, how real, because I said I'll be able to read my answer through his face expression. And I realized that he's completely, absolutely 1,000% with it. What is he trying to tell himself that now we have the privilege to hear him say that to us? Is that it really matters and makes a difference what he does that you think completely otherwise and opposite? Meaning, what are you doing? You want to emphasize that which is already established? For what sake? But he tells you, trust me, it makes a difference. Now, what is he telling you? You've never, ever, if you ever faced one of my painting, paid attention to it properly. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this conversation.
Wow, that's crazy, man. I went to a monotone exhibit in Rhode Island, and that was probably one of the best artistic lessons I had. Although I didn't like it, but it was the truth of art. Okay, It was a monotone exhibit. Every canvas was a different size, but the same shade of lavender. Rhode Island is a gallery that we went to. We went. Oh, I'm sorry, off of Rhode Island, Block Island. That's it. That's it. Was it Rhode Island? Or was it Block Island? Oh no! Now I remember. Now it was a Provincetown. That's it. That's it. Provincetown, and it was a gallery in what looked just like a normal home. And every room had a group of people standing there mixing their cocktails and being very droll. And they were all standing next to different size, same color canvases. And I have to tell you, I walked out because my temperature got really hot inside of my heart and my head started bouncing around all these angry statements like, this is not art. What the hell? It's the same. So I removed myself from that situation, went out onto the sidewalk, and I ruminated. I said, what was it that just happened? I was affected by art. Art affected me.
Something to treasure.
Perhaps, but I'll tell you, it was painful because I don't want to be the idiot, that doesn't see that there was more going on than this just being a monochromatic thing. I don't have the answers for what it was. I don't know that I would have necessarily been standing there with a drink, stirring with my finger and acting like I understood it all, but it was certainly a lesson.
Yeah, I remember when de Kooning had his show at the Guild Hall way back, maybe 10 years ago. He had this massive.
10?
Hmm?
10 years ago?
Yeah,
Okay.
8 years ago. It's the Guild Hall.
Okay.
And he had like half a dozen pretty massive framed paintings. I would say like 6 by 8 or something, vertical, all vertical. All kind of look alike, kind of pastelish. So I heard a woman say, asking her girlfriend about what's going on here. Like,
Mm.
because she was, so I'm kind of eavesdropping, and I realized that she knows who de Kooning is, but now she's struggling with the idea that it's too simplistic, maybe too simplistic because it's just doesn't have any meaning in her eyes what he's doing, and she doesn't seem to be able to get an answer, and she knows about him. So I don't know how I turned, and I said, "If you allow me, I can tell you what's so great about it." And she looked at me and she was a little surprised. She said, "I would love to." And I said, "See, look, let's relate to the size here. He's got 6 massive paintings, massive frames, nothing accidental. Everything's planned. So the guy took these canvases, stretched them properly, worked, really slaved actually. Not easy. And we both know that de Kooning didn't have that much help. Didn't have like 5 people around him doing things for him. And then look at the images inside. What do you see? You see something that is kind of adamantly put, like literally as if someone had things ready and they took it and he didn't even have to paint it, just kind of put it. That he had this ability to say, okay, let this yellow circle go there and stay there. And let this blue square go from the top in a 60 degree and stay there. As that's what he made you feel. But I want you to honestly try to figure out how difficult it is to do that. Not necessarily if you were to glue yourself to one painting, but the project itself, and to maintain that level of decency that is as close as possible to his vision. That only he knows, because we gotta trust it, because we know he couldn't be otherwise. He would have had to be completely genuine and at the peak of his genius in order to pull this through. It's just that if we don't get it to the extent that we should, it's because we're still not capable. But we want to trust that indeed that's the case.
And what does she?
And
How
then,
does she
and then
feel
I
about
said,
that?
on
Yeah.
top of it, at the end, as a dessert, you need to look at yourself in the forefront of it all. Try to even imagine that you are actually doing it. And I think that halfway through my introduction to her, she was already convinced she got it. I think it was. I was intrigued by it.
How? And essentially what you said that made it valuable, the thing about de Kooning was how representative the canvas was of his vision, that it was absolutely a better representation than most people could do.
Also, he kept a straight face through the process, and that's the utmost difficulty.
Straight focus. You think that
Straight
represented
face. That
focus?
means that means he did not let anything in to disturb him.
Right.
Straight face. He put that face, and he knew that this face will allow him to do his thing and to be mobilized as he needs to be. So that's difficult because 1,000 things are coming your way
Yeah.
to distract you.
Yeah.
But when you prevail, you get what you see in front of you. Now, because we want to let our disappointment, because we allow our disappointment to hit us really hard and to anchor within us so abruptly, you can't expect to just kind of make it go away suddenly.
Right. That's correct.
So you're kind of screwed, and now you have to toil and work much harder to understand that basic understanding that you could have instantly otherwise, if you were to come somewhat ready and say, hey, let me remind myself that I'm going to see a genuine art exhibition by de Kooning himself. I have to remind myself ahead of time. So even if I'm not ready with the plan, I'm planting the seed that I'm actually going to see someone that I better keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Unconditional respect and say, you're the man. Solid, you rock.
So this is interesting. We were talking about it, listening, okay, and hearing the message in its accuracy. You and I were just in the beginning of this, right? And we moved into art, and there's a total parallel between appreciating art and appreciating another person communicating with you how they feel in the deepest parts of themselves. There is a very, very strong comparison to be made there. If you're not an artist, your art is your words. Your art is your thoughts. If you're not an artist, putting paper filled with symbols, writing music, writing a book, if you're not an artist, you really still aren't an artist because you have a spirit and it comes out through your words, and your words are your medium. And we need to know that about each other. We need to respect that about each other, the same way you're respecting that de Kooning had a vision that got properly represented on canvas. You have to trust a person. You have to help them, perhaps. In your mind, I'm looking at it as having a poverty. If I have a poverty that says I need to understand you to function and to move into my next part of my life. If I have a poverty, that's going to make me listen better. That's going to make me hear better and interpret your words in the way that you meant to put them out there. If I have a poverty of I'm not the smartest person, I don't always hear everything that people say to me. I do have my own agendas. I am absolutely deliberately trying to separate what happened to me today from where I am right now in this moment so that I can hold this moment as valuable and more valuable than any other moment.
Yeah, and also you have to remember that they all came down from academia and theory,
Mm,
masters of it.
mm.
They weren't like someone that just bumped into art like myself. I bumped into it and I said, "Oh, wait, yeah," and you make it work. But none of what you see by way of styles, our understanding of it is because they spelled it out. There were some critics and some people that made their own conclusions about what it is that they want to preach you about Jackson Pollock, this and that. Jackson Pollock, if there was anything he hated with passion, is to need to to explain his artwork to people. It was
Mm,
ridiculous in his eyes.
mm.
That's why he snapped in the middle of presentations or whatever. Like, who wants to? I hear artists that
Yeah.
genuinely try to volunteer their vision of their art. And I said, I thank them in the eye of my mind. I thank them for allowing me to understand how unnecessary this is.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because I'm watching and but in
Some of
the
the
same token, you cannot dismiss them. It's not like you see. It's very, very fine line there.
no, no, I can't. You can't dismiss.
No, no, man. But what I mean that if they want an explanation, how is it that I'm? Is there a better way than other to tell them that I don't think it's important, and I'm not so much in the mood to tell
Well,
you
not by snapping.
because I yeah no I know I know and I'm not I don't stay in the mood to tell you about it. I'm not even sure I can do that. That's the thing.
I
How can you
actually,
do it?
I
Is
got to
there?
go right back to what you said. Pollock saying in his own mind, this doesn't need to be explained. And it's great you pick up Pollock. I don't know if we spoke about this recently, but when I got an opportunity to see a Pollock and stand still and just look, and boom, I got hit like by a train. And when I finally caught it, I was like, wow, this is deep. This is insane. This is 3 dimensional. This is 20 dimensional. This is awesome. And why? I'm not going to go much further than what I just said. I can't, because the moment you try and take something apart and split it into its little pieces, God bless you if you're a scientist and need to do that and can help with the information you learn. But just the regular person, we really should take what we see, accept it, let it wash over us, and be quiet. Make no decisions one way or another.
Listen, you can decide this afternoon, not this afternoon, 2 minutes
In
ago,
this moment.
2 minutes ago,
Yes.
no, even more, 2 minutes
2
ago,
minutes.
that you're gonna take this napkin here, and I'm not kidding you now. This is serious. This is serious, and say, okay, look at this napkin here, okay? Don't touch my roll, please. Look at this napkin. I'm actually presenting to you my next solo exhibition. But wait, be patient. This is the napkin. Huh? Doesn't cost me anything. I can go anywhere and get 100 of these for free because I bought a sandwich somewhere. But I'm going to cut pieces like this of each one, yeah? And it's really a friggin' napkin. It can dissolve in 2 seconds. But I will take and make about, if I don't want to exaggerate, I will make about 75 pieces like this. Okay? I can make actually 300, but let's say 75. I take the 75 pieces and I take a Sharpie or whatever. It doesn't matter what I'm going to be doing. It does not matter at all. Subject matter cannot stand in our way of executing a plan here that is nothing less than genius. Then I'm going to have the 75 pieces with something on them, a dot, a line, it doesn't matter. Then I will cut half-inch square cardboard, 75 of them, or maybe 3/4 of an inch square cardboard. Doesn't matter what color. And I'm going to glue these pieces to each cardboard. And then I will be successful in achieving 75 pieces with cardboard that's slightly bigger than this piece of napkin on top of it, with some kind of whatever it is on top of the napkin. Now, I'll go and I will buy 70 clips, plastic clips, like you know, okay, with a loop. You know those clips with the loop.
Yep.
75, and I will attach them to each one of them. Then I will take a picture of one image, zooming in, and write Cliff Lust. L-U-S-T. Right there. This is real. This is major. Cliff. Clifflust. Send a massive invitation to a solo exhibition and put this display on pins. 75 of them. I can guarantee you, with a certainty of 100% fully, that you're going to have a successful event. That people will talk about it. People will talk about how you did it, it must have been for you to go through that, to finalize and materialize it to be what they experience at that moment.
I got to say something right now. Based
And
on
I'm
what
only halfway, by
No,
the way.
based on what you're talking about, you were reminding me of a good reason to explain art, of a good way of explaining art. Okay, you reminded me of a book I read called "A Crack in the Cosmic Egg." Okay, where the author posits our thoughts are frequencies that can be picked up by other people's brains. Okay, and that art, as an abstract expression of thought, could actually be you being the medium for a bazillion thoughts around your head that just rang, and you started cutting up that napkin, and you put it on the clips, and you colored it with the Sharpies, and people come to that show and their minds are blown. This brings me to whatever. This makes me feel whatever. I want to go and do whatever, because they just saw all of that stuff. They saw a person deliberately engaged in a
So what is the
thing.
question to be asked?
What is the question to be asked
I'll
is
tell you.
exactly
I'll
right.
tell you.
Yeah. What is it?
Why aren't you doing it?
Exactly. Why? You know what? Hey, baby, I love it. And the question goes to you out in the audience as well.
No.
Why aren't you doing it?
Don't make it too commercial. No,
Well,
no.
I'm not making comical.
Keep it
I
local.
hear what you're saying.
Keep it local
I'm
and
humbled.
meaningful. I'll tell you.
Okay,
No.
I'm humbled by what you say.
The question is,
Mhm.
why aren't you doing it?
Exactly.
Not what. Why aren't you going to do it?
Mhm.
Why aren't you doing it? Meaning, I just showed you a way that will cost you exactly $5.
Not even.
Okay, seriously. And I guarantee you that you will sell about 20 pieces of them
Sure.
for $45 each,
Sure.
or whatever, you know. And then you can't even sign it. You're going to have to give a business card signed
Nice.
that will acknowledge the piece.
Well, you know what you're saying is also like how it's been said in the past. Everyone has a novel in them. Everyone has a book in them. Everyone has a play. Everyone has something that could be art if they were to
But we
manifest
got to
it.
shy away. We have to try and shy away from these slogans
Why do you want to shy away
because
from
it's
that?
too
Cliche?
predictable. Yeah,
Cliche?
too cliche and predictable. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because you see, you have to
But
understand
there's truth.
this is doable to the extent that
Yeah.
it's unlimited. That
Right.
means you suddenly introduce to yourself a scenario, a possibility for you to endlessly create, but not for the sake of it being dissipated into the thin air. For the sake of it is remaining to keep on influencing people. And then the semi-totality of it and the complete totality of it is another story. Good. So people come to my show, and I have a feeling, and I sense the energy that there's a reflection of the totality of my work through their attitude, through their behavior. They're not trying to hide it because they always talk about other. This reminds me of something you did about 15 years ago and how you're developing. So they have a story. And you realize that you can create this story in the heads of people, in the minds of people that will influence their lives and help you also to learn about yourself with the minimum effort. Just, well, I want to be cliche in order to prevent cliché-ness. To telling you that sell it to yourself.
Mhm, mhm.
This realization that everybody else is realizing and you happen to sometimes miss it, misinterpret it, think that it's not there at all to begin with. So there's so much there. But I'm telling you, that we can't just shake it off just because in a world where is dominant with the opinion of the system itself about how things should be, shouldn't be, how you feel about yourself or not, and there's just such a deep grip. Uh, but if you take it one step at a time and have a level of conviction that you know that something needs to be done about that which we discuss now, and the things at the end of the day won't do themselves, won't create themselves. And that's cliche, but you have to go through that in order to put an end to clicheishness. So also you want to also believe that it's good for you or your mind to hear you speak, that it is effective. Like Dr. John Sano said, knowledge is the cure. You know about your condition? Always serves as the couch, Freud's couch, is only good to just relax and rest. Who wouldn't want to lie down and tell his story? But not because we believe that because someone is listening to us, this is going to cure our problems. If you think this way, you're just increasing your problems while you're so relaxed on the sofa. You got to be very careful.
Mm.
You go and get a massage, not because it's going to heal you and fix things, because it's a pleasant thing to have.
And it's maintenance.
You will never believe how many people don't think about it this way.
Mm.
Just go get at this. Because even those who go in order to enjoy a massage, they will still talk about it. They will tell you about the great massage they got. So they put an end to the benefits from it.
Mm.
You follow what I'm saying? Oh, I had a
Mm.
massage. I did. Oh, it was so good. Oh, I can take twice a week. I do that. Right there, a death sentence to all the benefits.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah.
But you know how difficult it is to do it? But in the same token, nobody will tell you, listen, all you need to do is once, and then it will become common practice. And especially if it's someone that you trust is telling you that. Say, listen, he won't just say things like that. Maybe I should try it. That's why when you have kids as young as I do,
Yeah.
you stand a chance to put it to use.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put it to use.
Yeah.
When they were little, I was freaking out if they were like dripping paint or drawing on the table. I was freaking out. But lucky for me, I realized early enough that it's the most ridiculous thing in the world, and I have to resist my temptation to correct them all the time.
Yeah.
And even if they paint, why don't you use more blue? Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. I like that thought to hold back the parenting, not overwhelm them too much. Let them be kids. Yeah,
Just what
is
do
the
you
truth.
want?
Yeah,
Just what do you want more
yeah,
blue? You just
yeah,
tell me what you
yeah,
want.
yeah. I
And
like that.
then I don't
Yeah,
even say that. I don't even remind them that they can say that to me.
yeah. But you know what? They grow up in that same mentality, and they'll treat their kids that way, and they'll treat other people that way as well. With generosity.
Look, if there's in front of me painting paintings and I am with the tray full of paint,
Yeah,
do I need to say anything? They would know that I'm there and they're painting,
yeah,
and this is paint. If
yeah,
they needed to
yeah,
take it, and I'm standing there like completely mute.
yeah. Hmm.
Do I need to say
No,
anything?
you're not mute. Actually, you're
Yeah,
speaking
of course,
loud.
correct.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
do I need to say anything?
No,
No.
no, no
Um,
vocals needed.
do you think they're going to say anything? I don't think so. They're just going to grab,
Yeah,
and maybe they will say, "What about that yellow that we left so much?"
yeah.
And I just turn around, put that yellow to the tray,
Neat. Yeah.
cater to them, and all this. But
It's
you
a
know how
joy.
difficult this
Yeah,
is?
yeah. It's a joy. It's a joy to have those children and to have this ability to be that way, to communicate with them like that. That's a joy. That's a blessing. You know, little people. If you wanna feel better about the future, you just hang around with little people. See little people doing things, understanding things, learning things. See them doing that. I had the benefit of nephews and nieces for like what 4 or 5 summers in a row of them coming out to the Hamptons, and I'd say that lasted
I
for
remember
maybe
your
yeah.
niece, yeah.
Yeah, Austin and Olivia, I love
Oh
those
my God.
too. They're great. But also, we had I had 4 others. It was crazy. It was through the house, seeing the Hamptons, seeing art, and actually they came to a lot of us playing drums, and they came to samba too with me, and so when their experience of the Hamptons was actually if there's any art in their life at all, it's probably going to be a function of having been out here and been around all the artists. Where they come from, their family was already a little bit interested in doing music, and they were had like um, music lessons, things like that, on instruments. But the Florida scene is not the Hampton scene at all. And when they came to the Hampton scene, they got an opportunity to witness music in a different way. And I loved being a part of that. I loved seeing them learning stuff. I loved seeing them, appreciating it. And that was great. But yeah, you've got a blessing if you got little people. It's almost, a new start every day for you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And also, like speaking to a point where, at some point you got to snap out of the fact that you're dealing with kids,
Yeah,
and it's because it's changing fast, and you got to put your finger
yeah.
with the
When it changes, yeah, you got to see that.
incredible
Yeah,
timing. You need to have
yeah. You
incredible
need to
timing.
have timing.
And so now I try very, 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 very hard to track down the moment as close as possible to that transition where they stand to lose everything they have in terms of talent and desire, and all this, especially with art. Until they're like 7, 8, 9, sometimes they scribble. They have a brush stroke that is second to none, which is perfect, beautiful, effortlessly, naturally, instinctively, and suddenly it disappears.
Mm.
Suddenly it's just gone because there's a crucial moment where they become more aware of themselves.
Yeah, but and
So
also hormones, dude.
yeah,
The mentality changes during
yeah,
the
yeah,
the,
yeah,
the
yeah.
teens, because of
But
all
but
the new
but
chemicals
if
and
you
whatnot.
guard it for them, for
Yeah,
their own sake, and make it
yeah,
aware, make them aware of
yeah,
what you're doing,
yeah.
suddenly they
You got
will
to be
be able to see.
deliberately
They will be
paying
able to
attention.
see. Look, if you have a 6-year-old that's holding a pen or pencil in a way that adults only do, you wonder, but you keep it to yourself more than anything, and then in times and instances where he or she least expected, you start talking about it, not while the act itself is taking place. But if you, but you, it's a daunting task to teach them about how and why it's so important to preserve it. So difficult. You would think it's easy, and it's playful and it's appealing, but it's not. When
You know
they
what?
change, they want to abandon
Do you
it.
know what I account? Do you know what I give the account to? How old were you, Haim,
We got
when
3 minutes.
you? How old were you when you conceived of what a decade is? How old were you when you
18
appreciated?
months.
Yeah, probably not, dude. Think about it. If you have no awareness or if real feel in your heart of what a decade is, wow, 10 years ago I was here. I'm here now. Everything in between. Unless you can really appreciate that, you can't imagine future.
Yeah.
Future is like future. Future's another word.
Uh, we're almost done here, but let's just say that we hopefully I'll get to see you again at some point, and we can kind of pick it up
Next
exactly
year.
from
Too
this.
many times
Yeah,
is
yeah,
no
yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. Okay, no, no. But just from this point where showing them the totality of it, I'm going to using the same word again. Totality of it is that it stands as a protective shield that you soon enough will realize that important to have, you know, and also it's pleasing, it's pleasing to have that in your life, and so much more. But we're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday, and as much as we're here this morning, Friday morning, November 8th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. And Curtis DeForest is here with us this morning. Curtis, I wanted to thank you again for
It's
your
my
level
pleasure.
of
I'm humbled by being
resilience.
asked.
Your
Thank you.
resilience has a lot of artistic ingredients that actually make it possible for you to stand in front of me and still look like you're doing just fine and you're okay in
Good.
one piece.
Good. I am in one piece. It's true.
So, pleasure to have you here. I
Thank you.
really appreciate it, and keep up the good spirits, guys. And I don't want to do this, and then we'll see you soon. Okay, what am I doing?